All right, the donation link is live. The Justice Fund. All right, let's get started. I am joined by Alex Peter, a public defender in New York, also known as LolOverruled on TikTok. He's a TikTok heartthrob, and we are raising funds today for Release Aging People from Prison campaign. Since he's here, and he's a public defender, and he's, are you ACAB? Would you say you're ACAB?
I would say that is correct.
He's ACAB. He's an abolitionist. I thought, you know, who better to have here with me reacting to a Jubilee video. Are all cops bastards? Police versus criminals, middle ground. These are oftentimes very unhinged videos, and I feel like you are the perfect person to take a little journey with in that regard. This is gonna be good. You have some unhinged opinions as well. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you. Yes, absolutely.
All right. Let's get started.
Cop, why should you have the right to tote a gun around just because you have a badge?
And you're saying we shouldn't be armed?
You shouldn't have guns at all.
Okay, next time there's an active shooter going into a university, then we're just gonna let him shoot all the students.
You know what? I can't do this. Do this episode no more.
Damn.
Step forward if you agree with the prompt. Cops should not carry guns.
Oh, interesting.
Only one person? Oh, two people?
There's so many countries in this world that do not have this level of violence within its law enforcement department or any other department. Guns themselves are not the issue. It's the finger behind the gun, because you don't know the mentality, the mind, you know, the heart of the person, and things trigger people and they snap. And no one exempt. Police officers are human beings too. They can snap.
If you took guns away from the uniform, I guarantee
saying,
like half of them
I don't know
would
if I agree with
be
that
there.
statement.
You know?
Maybe it's
if you had to struggle to submit a perpetrator and to like actually do work, police work, like it's not just about reaching for your gun 99% of the time.
Right in front of my building, I was harmed by an older man. When I got away, I went to the police. The detective took me to the hospital. Everything checked me out. You know what the police officer did with having a gun and everything else? Pulled me over, saying he was taking me back home, pulled me over on a dark side of a street and raped me because of the uniform, the badge, and the gun that made me freeze. But you, as a police officer, saying that you were here to protect and to serve, you allowed your power, your uniform, you got everything else to make you think that that was okay.
Can the disagreeer step forward?
Someone else has a gun, you gotta defend yourself too. You know, it's just the way you use it. I'm not saying that you should use guns, but I mean, if you have a gun, then you have to use it, of course, but not use it just for traffic stops or people with mental illnesses, stuff like that. That's out. If they have a knife or a stick or, you know, or a fork, like that doesn't justify anybody getting shot.
So you're for having armed police officers?
Yeah, if someone else has a gun, if someone else.
I believe that y'all should be armed because I believe in the Constitution. I don't believe in the policing that the police force has done throughout many communities I've been in, but I do believe in.
Bro, like, how are you an ex-con and you're like, I believe in the Constitution? Like, the Constitution and the system that it is supposed to prop up has, like, failed you dramatically. I don't understand, but hey, you know, it is what it is, I guess.
People buy into it, and then they...
Yeah, she's still an American after all. You know what I mean? Okay, listen.
Rights versus laws, and I do believe that there are dangerous scenes that you go to where it is required to use them. So I have to agree that part of your, like he said, his tool belt needs to include a pistol.
So you mean to tell me that what happened at Michigan State University with an active shooter killing?
I like that, cops are... The implication that cops are only necessary during active shooters kind of invalidates, like, the need for cops. You know what I mean? Because, yeah, you're right. In an active shooter situation, you do need someone who is armed to provide some level of defense. Except, you know, this is post-Uvalde, so that's a little bit different, even though cops have behaved in the appropriate manner in numerous other mass shootings that have happened since Uvalde, because fucking holy shit, enough mass shootings happened that, you know, you got enough mass shootings happen that, like, clearly there will be some where the cops are actually behaving in the way that they're supposed to, which is like, you know, that is the one instance I say where, you know, that violence is justified. It is defensive.
Okay. Yeah, sure, yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, yeah. It's like if you're killing children at a school, I think that, like, someone with a gun...
pretty bad, I guess.
Yeah, if can you throw that out? If someone is stopping the further killing of children from happening, like, that's valid. That's justifiable. Most other circumstances, which is is the overwhelming majority of circumstances where cops are behaving in a violent manner, whether it be like the tip of the iceberg, which is what you see, which is like, you know, brutal moments of like unarmed citizens being executed, being shot from behind, or even the overwhelming majority of interactions that cops have that are actually violent, because ultimately even like arresting someone is a violent act, and oftentimes it is completely unjustifiable. In those circumstances, that violence is not a necessity, because if that was a necessity, you wouldn't go to the fucking Michigan State shooting as a fucking example. You would go to any number of those other situations. You'd be like, well, yeah, what are you gonna do if you see someone loitering like a homeless person, and then you need someone to come in and beat the shit out of them? You know what I mean?
5 students, or Uvalde, where they went into an elementary school and killed children.
Wait, he is not using Uvalde. Oh, what a fucking idiot.
Let's see if they get him, though. Let's see if they hit him on it.
Sandy Hook would happen over 10 years ago.
Right over it.
You're sitting there telling us that we shouldn't be carrying firearms?
Yeah, you shouldn't. Like, if you guys are just traffic cops and stuff like that, you guys shouldn't.
No,
if you guys are like a SWAT team.
Yeah, you're not answering my question.
Like I said, I'm just going based on what you said. You called me a predator. I'm like, I never done that in my life, right? I've been in situations where I've been shot at. I had 2 members of my department die in the last 2 months. I've been in situations where I've needed my firearm.
I'm willing to bet. What do you think they died from?
Like a COVID?
Statistically speaking, it probably is COVID. Or the other killer, heart disease. Or the other killer, vehicular fatalities, as they're fucking riding through a goddamn red light with their lights on, thinking that everyone is going to be ready for that moment.
Needed every tool in my belt in my career. You would go out and then see half of the stuff I see, you may change your perception about what you see.
You're saying that we should have pepper spray, tasers to Michigan State University or Uvalde? Is that what you're saying? So you're telling me that if I'm a cop, I have no gun?
Bro, he keeps saying Uvalde. Dog, Uvalde's the worst example. Someone take this bald fuck down, please. Oh my God. Oh, I have another theory that I should clue you in on. We're not racists in this community. Obviously, phrenology is the skull science that was advocated for by racists. I don't know if you're familiar with this. The idea that like different skull measurements indicate like, inherent genetic inferiorities or superiorities. Now,
yeah. Is that why you have all those skulls out here?
I do, but hold on, I'm gonna get to it.
Okay.
With one exception, I like to call this cop phrenology.
Oh, okay.
I am a firm believer that if you are thumb-like, if you look like a thumb, the more thumb-like you are, the more ACAB you are. ACAB in this community does not always stand for all cops are bastards. It stands for assigned cop at birth.
Oh, okay.
So what I firmly believe and genuinely believe is that you are assigned, you're assigned cop at birth. What I'm trying to say is this man, the proof's in the pudding. I mean, this guy is a thumb.
Cop.
But also, this,
well, he said to the community, like maybe.
No, that's not what he said. The prompt is, should cops be unarmed? Hold on a second. You just got done watching probably the most tragic incidents probably historically. Uvalde, may I add, that's kids.
Wait,
for crying out loud.
They added
and
the
what you're sitting here
context of that
saying
they waited
is that
outside
we
for
shouldn't be
over an hour.
What is it would you like me to do if someone has an AK-47 killing kids? That's my question to you.
We actually have our own rights, that we actually have our own rights to carry and defend ourselves in certain situations like that.
With all due respect, that's not the question I'm asking.
If you want to use your body,
I'm asking you if you were, I'll ask in a different way. If you're a police officer and you have no firearms, you got your pepper spray, you have your taser, you have your baton, and you are responding to Uvalde Elementary School where there's an active shooter with an AK-47, what are you going to do?
Wait outside the classroom for over an hour.
To the proper authorities that would be entitled to have those weapons that are not in the general community.
I get what he's saying.
No, but what entitled to have weapons? Who? What agency?
So like
SWAT
the UK.
and above.
Yeah, what he's saying.
It's
like United Kingdom, how United Kingdom, their special force in their police department have weapons, but they're regular.
So why should you why should you have the ability to just tote around a gun? That's my question to you.
What's that?
My question to you is, just because you're a cop, why should you have the right to tote a gun around just because you have a badge?
No. That's not what the prompt is. The prompt is cops being unarmed. Cops being all of us.
Yeah, but you use your body, and your body, they took like over an hour to respond when they were there. So you had the guns and you still didn't.
What I'm saying is that he's saying cops. Cops is a very, when you say cops to me, you're talking everybody.
Police violence is blown out of proportion.
So when we see the videos of a police officer handling a child and that cop has become violent towards a child,
And I agree. But my thing is, has it been blown out of proportion? I see that one incident.
We see it a lot.
Children
You do see it a
Gotta
lot,
hit 'em.
but you have to also take in consideration that there's over 1,800 agencies in the entire United States. So if you look at the big grand scheme of things as it relates to all these agencies, and you do see violence, you do see where it's scrutinized, where it's brutal. But if you take the numbers, it's very, very minimal.
If you look at all the public contacts with all agencies nationwide compared to these bad incidents or the perception of bad incidents, it's a very micro compared to the macro of how many public contacts all the agencies have with the public.
Those are the ones that you do see. I mean,
and
before
it was brought up earlier about the media blowing it up, and we agree to that.
There was, Rodney King, there was Emmett Till, there was all these people,
and honestly, there's bad officers. Yeah, and good officers will be the first ones to tell you there are bad officers. There's bad in every work.
Pause it! You can press the space bar. Good officers are not the first that they're bad officers. What the fuck? No. It's an entire culture of denying accountability. And if anything, the good officers, the supposed mythical good officers, are literally the bad officers. Or the fired officers, technically. Okay, they're no longer officers. This bullshit.
You're behind bars right now saying this.
Yeah, I'm locked up. Stop.
Oh, is this Nicole's Instagram?
Oh my God, her name is Blue Line Barbie. Hello, I am constantly under fire.
She not a natural redhead?
Yeah,
Stolen valor.
It's fucked up. That pisses you off, don't it?
It really does.
Listen, the real oppression is that I cannot put a bulletproof vest over my gigantic knockers. I'm sorry. I can be your devil or your angel. Just saying, Blue Lives Matter.
They're like,
fuck,
wait.
We lost them.
Get out.
Committing a crime is never justified.
Oh, come on. They all agree.
Agree with the prompt?
No.
Everything is a crime now.
Can the disagreeer step forward?
That prompt, it's a very open-ended question. I shared a part of my story earlier about the person, the officer, who was there.
It's like the right side of the table, I totally get. The left side of the table, I'm like, ooh, what do they mean by committing a crime is never, like...
Just the crimes they commit on a daily
That's what
basis.
I'm saying. Like, they're like, yeah, I mean, sometimes you gotta do a crime, you know? What do you mean?
I mean, planting evidence is technically a crime.
Yeah.
And he committed a crime against me. Was he justified? Because he's a police officer, a detective. I forgave him. And so that's why I couldn't step forward, because I had to pause for a second. I have to take a neutral stance here because that's not our reality.
I was 14 years old and I was deciding to not go to school, and my stepdad came up and yanked a cover out from underneath me, and I hit the ground off of a bunk bed, and I got up cussing him, and he slapped me across my face, and I was the one that was taken to juvenile hall. But damn it, my crime was justified. You know, I think with anybody, any crime that is committed.
So that, okay, so you understand it then. Like, you operate without understanding. Okay, Nicole's the only good cop because she's no longer a cop, okay? I'm just saying, because, like, she's no longer a cop. The point I was trying to make is this. As long as she's off the roads, as long as she's not a cop anymore.
You'll go on a date with her?
No. As long as she's no longer a cop anymore, I'm saying that's like one less cop off the streets. That's objectively a good thing. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say because...
And instead of like fucking harassing minorities or brutalizing homeless people, she's like making an OnlyFans, which is technically... Again, better than being a cop.
Of course it's better than being...
Hey, there you go.
Anything.
That was my point.
Okay.
There's a reason. There's a background. There's a story.
There you go.
There's circumstances that you have to find out.
Horny.
And us as police officers, that's our job, and we'll take it from there.
So none of you as officers stepped forward and felt like it was unjustifiable the minute that you put your badge on to commit a crime?
No.
Not one of you?
I feel like
She
it's
just asked for
justified.
an instant.
Right. I feel like some things are justified for basic survival.
I'm just curious.
You
Out
would
of
like-
four of you didn't
that's
have
way
that
more
one
self-awareness
concept
than I
and you
thought
took
was
an oath
gonna be presented
to protect
here.
and serve my community, his community, your community, her community, and not one of you stepped forward. I was going to step forward and challenge it. I hesitated and went back because I wanted to rethink it. Not one of you felt like when you put on that badge and that tool belt that there was no justifiable reason to commit a crime because it'd be self-defense, right?
Some things are just, like I just said, basic survival. I deal with transients all the time, right? They go and steal something.
God, dude, that immediately.
I like hearing the cops
say transient. Dude, it zaps my brain. When I hear that word, I'm like, zzz. Like it just, I hate it so much. It says infinitely more about you as a fucking sick freak than anything you have ever seen with your own two eyes that a homeless person has done. Okay, like I'm no big city lawyer like Alex is here. Okay, he's quite literally a big city lawyer.
Fancy city boy.
He is, and I certainly sometimes say things that probably are not like the most politically correct. I'm not like one of those people who's like, oh, you got to say like houseless people. You know what I mean? Like sometimes colloquially,
experiencing houselessness.
Yeah, or experiencing houselessness. Like colloquially, I think it's like much easier to just say homeless person, right? As long as you like identify them as a human being. But when I hear transient, I just know how fucking loaded that term is, and I know what that implies. Like you're just saying they're not human at that point. They're like automatically like a bad person. Like they're automatically a criminal that's violent and needs to be dealt with violent force.
Something. My department requires me to do something when somebody steals something. Now,
I have
do I think it's right? No, but he's hungry. It's my job, so I have to do something or I'm going to get fired. Can I pull out my card and pay
I've
for
done
it?
that.
No,
I've done that.
But I can't. My department doesn't allow me to do that, so I can't do that. I have to do something. They say, hey, I want him to go to jail. He's going to jail based on what that person said. With your situation, if she would have took the knife to the officer, that's justified to me, right? In my eyes.
Yeah.
Now, do we have being justified and dealing with the consequences?
Historically, good dudes just
I'm
following
totally
orders.
accountable. Yeah. My years in prison made me 100% accountable for me in every action that I do and every thought that I make. So I've served federal and state prison. I have a parole until 2036 for narcotics.
God damn.
I've never hurt anybody. Nobody's ever overdosed from my drugs. I just got caught.
She said, I got the good shit. Sorry.
Yeah,
it's like nobody's ever overdosed is pure. It's fucked up.
Under the Reagan laws, I was raised in there. I've created my deepest friendships that I have in there. I've left women behind in there. The problem is that when I found myself in trouble since I've been home, the last number I would call is anything with a 11, 211, 411, or 911. My loss of faith and belief in the whole entire police community is gone.
They don't give a shit. Because you're an ex-con, so they think that like you
deserve it.
Yeah, you deserve it, or no, they think that like, of course you're not gonna call the cops. You're a criminal still. Like that's what their attitude is, 100%.
So I served 27 years in prison, in a maximum security prison for women.
Christ.
I had a sentence of 25 to life for the crimes of kidnapping and murder. That's what I was convicted of.
Shit.
Did I do it? That's a different story. No person that represented a system helped me. Punishment has become the response to every damn thing in this country.
Because it's like we're out in the street living every day to survive. We're out in the street doing our own thing.
Kidnapping and
when
murder,
you guys as
especially if you
colleagues
didn't
come
do it, is
after
crazy.
us, like at what point does it justify your colleagues to do all that stuff just because they have that badge? When y'all colleagues are shooting at us, how does that justify you guys' crimes? That's what I understood from her. I understood like when you guys are, that's what I got.
Yes, I was agreeing with what she's saying.
You're out in the streets and you guys come and do all this and that. Well, who's calling? Who's calling us to get to where you're at?
All right, let me give you a perfect example, right?
Okay.
Let's say I have a broken down car.
Okay.
I have a broken down car and nobody called you. You just happen to see a broken down car. And I have my emergency lights on too, so I'm declaring that I'm having an emergency situation.
Okay.
You see me out and about, I'm on my phone, I'm in a safe area on this side, on the right side of my vehicle where I'm not in imminent danger. I'm following all my protocols. Let's say I even go as far as putting a road flare or a cone from like a traffic kit. I cover all my T's and A's, I'm literally trying to avoid you because I don't like you. So I'm doing everything I gotta do, but here you go. Woo, 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 woo. Hey, what's up? Do you need help? And I'm like, no, sir, I don't need any help. I've called AAA, they're on their way. I verbally communicated with you that I'm good. I'm in no imminent danger. I put my cones up. I'm waiting for AAA. I relayed to you, verbally communicated that I'm okay. I'm not bleeding. You're not seeing anything going on with me that would attract you to come after me. But here you are grabbing at your belt, pulling at your thing. just seeking for something to go after. Immediately seeking, like you're like a predator, bro. You're literally hawking eye into your target and you're like, I'm gonna get him. Boom, and then here you go. You been drinking today? I'm like, bro, I just told you I don't need your help. Like I'm sitting here waiting for my AAA to come with a flat tire because I got a wheel lock. Okay. Oh, so, but have you been drinking today? Are you on probation or parole? Immediately it's like, dude, I'm in distress. I've advised you I don't need your help. Put up all my flares, crossed all my T's, dotted all my I's, but you continue to push the subject.
Yeah.
Have you ever go as far as like pulling your gun? Why are you getting hostile, sir?
Yeah, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying.
Why are you getting hostile, sir? Click. You good?
Yeah, so
I feel like you're getting hostile, sir. Put your hands where I can see them. Click.
Okay.
There we go.
So I'm going to tell you what I always just say in the streets when I work
patrol. Do we agree here?
He's got a gun.
I'm going to tell you what I always say in patrols. And this is what I said in my earlier comment when we get painted with this broad brush. First of all, I would have given you a ride. When you say you, I just want to make sure and be clear that me personally.
That's why I have AAA though. I don't need a ride.
Hold on. Let me finish. What I'm saying is that in my mind, you're speaking about me personally, I would have helped you no matter what.
But I don't need your help. I've advised you.
I would have done it different.
When you were taking
you know
away,
what?
and you kept coming towards me.
I would have took off and went to Starbucks and got a cup. I would have took off, went to Starbucks and got a cup. I understand that. But what I'm saying is that
0%.
I'm going to tell you what I always used to say when I used to work in the streets. You're not letting me. You know what?
Look how angry he is.
It's good. We don't gotta agree. You know, I gotta say like
what I'm trying.
But you gotta have more patience as a police officer.
Well, no, it's
you just got a quick snap and I can see it.
You always gotta be right.
No, I'm just used to arguing. When I argue, I always let the person speak as much as you can.
I think he just wants. The crime that was committed, like when I was a kid, I wanted to be a cop. I saw the cops. I grew up in the 90s, so they would give baseball cards, and I thought the cops were the coolest things because I had a real bad childhood, like with my parents, and I didn't really have friends like that. But the cops would be there. But the second I got my lowrider bike, like the cops would pull me over and give me tickets, and I'd be like, why don't you stop them over there? It's like, well, we're stopping you. How are we gonna stop them? And then I would get tickets constantly. I was just a kid. I didn't know what I was doing. I like the lowrider culture, and they would give me tickets all the time. Then my parents would be like, why are you getting tickets? Like, I don't know. They just keep stopping me. And then like maybe I'll ditch school, and the cops would get me from a certain neighborhood and drop me off in like far away from my house, or sometimes, and I was a minor, and they'll get me from the streets and take me to the police station, which I found out later was illegal there. And they made me to who I am. And they made me think that I was a bad guy until like I realized almost like 13 years ago, I don't gotta be that bad guy no more.
Criminals who commit violent felonies don't deserve certain legal rights.
You know what? I'm sorry, I can't do this.
Oh man.
Episode no more. It's not making any sense. The questions just don't make sense to me. I can't really get my point across how I want to. And
good for him, man.
Kinda
Honestly.
like reverse, like it's like you're asking the question, but you kind of.
I
can't do it.
Yeah, he's saying like these are incredibly suggestive questions, which are super fucking loaded and kind of bullshit. That's like his life.
Yeah.
Obviously, those in the power position here don't give a fuck.
Right.
But those who are powerless in the face of the system, well, their situation is going to be a little bit different. Now, we consume this Jubilee content all the time, and this happens all the time. Like, it'll be like trans people versus transphobes. You know what I mean? Like sex workers versus like incel perverts. You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense that like this dude was like, what the fuck is this shit?
I totally understand. You can always share.
With you.
Yeah.
I can't be on camera doing that.
I totally understand.
I'm trying to get my point across at the police. You know what I mean? But
so you hit 45K on your mint.
I can't do that.
Your mint.
Is there something wrong with your mic?
The other side. Step forward if you agree.
This is actually a really good video. I'm sorry that I'm like fucking it up a little bit.
It's part of their job to put fear in us, but it shouldn't. You know, every time just for a traffic ticket or just being stopped on the street, it was always like guns drawn right away. You know, and every time they point their guns at me, especially towards my back when I'm not even looking, like it just gives me this fear. Like, and then not only that, they like to manhandle you, like to like grip on your knuckles when you I already know the procedure. I spread my legs and I try to do everything right. And they still try to manhandle you each time. They try to like hold you so you could react and do something.
Even structurally speaking, okay, handcuffs are created to contort your body in a way that it does not want to be in, okay? If you get handcuffed behind your back, it's a very, very uncomfortable situation, and you automatically, like, you physically snap back at it, okay? almost every part of like police apprehension techniques revolve around what they call pain compliance. Which is, it can get really fucked up and like actually hit like nerve points and shit like that. But basically, every part of the police apprehension techniques are basically incredibly violent, and your body, even if you don't want to do something, even if you don't want to react, you end up reacting because your body's not supposed to fucking contort that way. So then they can justify further brutalizing you and beat the shit out of you, which they often do.
I want to go home to see my children, so I don't necessarily fear the other side. I just fear what could happen if I let my guard down while I'm doing my job. And that's it. Once you start off aggressive, I kind of have to match that because in the back of my head, why are you being aggressive? I have to understand, hey, he's being aggressive for...
I don't know, maybe because you're like a fucking psychopath with an arsenal of weapons and also no legal setbacks if you use them on someone. No professional setbacks if you use them on someone, and no legal hurdles that you need to clear either. So I feel like that kind of is terrifying.
I signed up for the fact that one day I'm gonna get shot, and 20 plus years ago, I couldn't agree with you more. I totally understand that brutality and how we treat people, we treat them like shit. I get that. Fast forward 25 years ago, because of all that treatment that we did, now you have ambushes, you have situations where suspects, people are coming up with cops and just executing them. And
dude, it's happening every day.
Dude, it's so crazy.
It's happening daily.
Nicole.
I know, well, that's why she's...
Nicole luckily is able to like, John Wick her situation out of it, but like, yeah, she does gun kata, I hear. Do you know what that is?
Yes, absolutely.
Equilibrium?
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. Marlon is supposed to be a spokesman for the police here, and I have heard him only bring up Uvalde as a way to defend cops.
Smartest
famously,
cop.
Yeah,
Smartest
literally,
cop.
famously one of the best moments for the entire American police force, and then just routinely say like, oh, dude, they're doing like ambushes all the time on cops. They're just executing them all the time.
And, so when the prompt says, do I fear the other side? Well, yeah, I mean, the other side is someone who wants to take my life out and doesn't even know me. And I suppose that's a consequence of what happened decades ago where we did treat people like
I just had to say this.
It stopped.
Let's be clear.
It stopped after that.